Hello everyone, Wenzeltron here, and we're back on the PTR. Today we're going to be going over Zul's first impressions. And on this video, I'm wearing his bone visage skin. So just going to do a quick little turnaround for you guys so you can see what the skin looks like as he's moving around. And this skin looks really neat to me. This is tailored after the D3 Necromancer now, and that is going already live on the servers that you guys can play around with, which is super cool. And we're just going to go over his new talent rework, and I'm going to tell you about the build that I would probably use if I were doing a long-range mage fight, and also just talk about the builds in general. So, without further ado, we're going to get into it, everybody. Alright, Zul's level 1s have not changed, but for the most part, I would go Shackler, because this one now increases the... or it doesn't do anything new, but I just found out that basic attacks against slowed, stunned, or rooted targets, you reduce the bone armor cooldown by 2 seconds, and you are actively slowing them already for your while the duration of the bone armor is active. So that just makes it so much easier to do it. It's a 30-second cooldown baseline. That's just way better. I was always going Shade because I thought that evading basic attacks was way better than any of these other two. But it's a 20-second increase of cooldown, meaning less effective use of bone armor. So, not very good in my opinion. So, Shackler it is. So now, you got some 3 new talents here, or at least the questing talents are new. And so you got Reaper's Toll. So level 1, you get a Q quest, or level 4, you get a Q quest to hit 20 targets with your Spectral Scythe, and then reducing the cooldown of Spectral Scythe by 3 seconds. So, that is a 8 to 5 second cooldown after completing the quest. Your W, Grim Scythe, gets an upgrade to each enemy hit is Cursed Strikes, reduces its cooldown by 0.5 up to 10. And then the last one is Jailers. This is a bone prison spawns the skeletal warriors, but is it rolled into a quest so that after you spawn 80 warriors, you gain a fixation of your enemy, the fixating on your enemies will increase the movement speed and attack speed. So the new mechanic on your bone prison is that any of your skeletal minions you spawn with your trait or warriors will now fixate that bone prison target, which gives you yourself a little bit more meaningful damage in the lane, which is really cool to be able to like 1v1 better. In my normal build, I like the Q build, so we're gonna go Q quest. And so in this one here, we have Curse Strike heals you for 60% of the damage dealt to heroes, or you get Weaken, which is an increased reduction of Curse Strike by 35% and the duration by 1 second. So the minimum duration is 40% slow, or attack speed reduction up by 35, so that goes all the way up to 75%. That's very meaningful if you have a lot of auto attack heroes. And then the last one is your Sustain, which is Trag'Oul's Essence. Every skeletal warrior attacks an enemy, restore 1% of Zul's health and 0.4% of his mana. As you know, the Trag'Oul's Essence would be much more useful on maps like Tomb of the Spider's Queen, so it's really up to you. What's your flavor, what's the team comp, and kind of just like, what's your comfort? I think for the most part, you'd probably get the most from Harvest Vitality if you're going a team fight build. I can see places niche picks for Weekend and niche picks for Trag'Oul's Essence as well, but baseline Harvest Essence is probably, or Harvest Vitality is probably the best. And Poison Nova and Skeletal Mages didn't receive any changes. I personally like the Mages.
Choose a talent.
And so now this is where things get a little bit more interesting. I'm going to go bottom up because it goes more interesting that way. Executioner is the normal talent at the tier, and it's, you know, slowed, rooted, or stunned targets get increased basic attack damage by 30% for 3 seconds. As this mage style build, you're probably not going to be in range of doing that all that often. And then Rapid Harvest, you gain 5% attack speed for 3 seconds each time Cursed Strike hits an enemy up to 75%. That's kind of cool. It would synergize well with the W talent if you took it here. The one that steals the cake for coolness, or the cool factor to me, is Echoes of Death. Spawn 2 additional spectral sides next to the first after 1.5 seconds, dealing 75% damage. So to me, the reduced damage isn't as interesting, but here's what it looks like. So you get that first main one and then the two on the sides. And so like you can do that really cool positioning like that to hit targets with the sides as they spawn with that delay. And this allows you for fancy positioning to hit the lane in different ways to hit your sides more often. So if you're not already stacked up to your 20 by 13, you're definitely going to hit it very, very fast after you hit 13. All right, we got the 16 talent here, and the amplified damage is the first one, which is Bone Prison, reduces the armor by 25 for 1.75 seconds. Skeletal corpse explosion. Skeletal warriors die. They explode and deal a little bit of area damage and deal 100% increased damage to non-heroic enemies. This is pretty normal. This is if you want to focus on pushing the lanes, and obviously incentivizes you to be in the lane to get value from it. I don't know if you'd go this very often. And then the last one is Bone Spear. This used to be a level 20 talent, and it just deals damage in a straight line. So if you're doing this mage style build, I would probably see you doing Bone Spear unless they have a target that you can get a lot of value from rooting most of the time. If you're doing a W build, I would most definitely go the amplified damage. But we'll go Bone Spear, and I'm just going to show it. So it's a straight line skill shot, and it pierces. So if I use it on the dummy here, you'll see it just continue traveling. It's a really good clearing tool too. And so his level 20 talents here, nothing too crazy, but new. So Andreo's Visage, this is the Poison Nova upgrade. So Poison Nova heals for 50% of the damage dealt, and your Skeletal Warriors deal 50% increased damage. Pretty cool. And Cold Hand of Death increases the slow of your mages by 20, so baseline is 30%, so it's a 50% slow at 20. Also pretty meaningful. Last, our third one here is Mortal Wound. Enemies hit by Spectral Size reduce healing by 75% for 4 seconds. The last one is Kalan's Edict, which is Skeletal Warrior attacks reduce the cooldown of heroic abilities by 1%. So Kalan's Edict obviously synergizes with the minion build, which seems pretty cool to me, but as I said, it's more of a niche build, not a go-to build. But if you're going to be doing the Spectral Scythe build, I would definitely do the Mortal Wound, because the reduction to 75% healing for 4 seconds is huge, and with the upgrade that you get at 13, allowing you to spread out your scythes in much more different and interesting ways, as you kind of see me doing it here. Just the amount of range I can do on this, where I can pull it way back if I really wanted to, allows this travel path to hit a lot more targets more consistently, and I just think that's going to be really fun to play with. And applying it that huge healing reduction is just going to be amazing over the long term, and from a skilled player to be able to reduce healing by that much for that a consistent amount, because every 5 seconds you'll be putting out that reduction of healing. That's huge. That's going to do it for Zool's video here, and as I do his dance here as he close on out, this is my Zool first impressions. This is the build. I'll have a link for it. I really like this build. I think it's going to be really strong, and it's interesting, and it gives Zool a nice little refresher. I wouldn't call it a super intense rework that really is a game changer, but it gives him a little bit more flavor. And I think is exactly what he needs, and is timed right with the release of the Necromancer in Diablo 3. And overall, it's just a lot more fun to see heroes that aren't in such a great spot get the rework they deserve. And so I really hope he ends up in a better place than he is currently. So let me know what you think. Let me know what your builds are. And just, maybe I got something wrong. Maybe I misread it. Let me know in the comments below. I really like to know what your opinions are. So thank you all for watching, and please don't forget the like button. Check me out on Twitch. I'm going to leave the links down there.